Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bed Tech Show, where your hosts, Ben and Ethan, are here to share some exciting news here at bedtime. We've got a lot of great stories lined up for you, so we'll go ahead and get started. Nobody wanted Stadia to fail except everyone. With that, looks like Google is not done with the online gaming market, and they are internally testing a new cloud gaming service on YouTube called YouTube Playables. So earlier, Google decided to shut down its gaming streaming service, Stadia, and their general manager has mentioned the company isn't giving up on the idea entirely and is testing out YouTube Playables. It's a new gaming product within what they're testing within their employees, and it looks like that the website can be accessed through a browser and through the YouTube app on iOS and Android. They've got a couple of games called Stack Bounce, so it looks like they're a little simple, more simple games than Stadia was originally offering, but it looks like they're starting out a little bit small to see if it will catch on from YouTube and maybe bring us back to what they had originally planned for Stadia. So I have a question for you. How do you think this integration, do you think this integration of games with YouTube is a smart idea or more of a hoax, kind of like Stadia ended up being before they canceled it?
I don't know if it's necessarily a hoax like Stadia. I personally think it's not really a hoax like Stadia. I think it's more similar to the older generation's first interaction with entertainment on websites. For example, we would go to websites like eBombs World or other websites like that had videos that we would watch and games that we could play. And it kind of seems like that's what this is turning into, a place where you could watch videos or interact with right now simple games.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's any necessarily new innovation. I think it's kind of a repeat, just updated to have our current levels of technology. But I don't think the consumer experience is going to be any different than if I went to eBombs World and was like, oh, I want to watch the new video of the day that's on the feed, or I want to go play the most popular game that's on the feed.
Mhm.
And kind of like a blog where you could choose videos or games. And I think to me, that's what it sounds like. And I personally don't think it'll take off. I don't think it'll be successful. I personally, if I'm going to be playing a game, especially on my phone, I'm not going to be playing my game on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. Do you think this
So,
might potentially hurt the YouTube brand by doing
um,
this?
hurt the YouTube brand. I think it could hurt the reputation a little bit because it'll kind of seem gimmicky. I feel
Mhm.
like it's somewhat gimmicky.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might view YouTube as just this, you know, kind of cheapened interactive blog website. I still think people are going to go to YouTube for all their video content that they want to watch.
Right.
But maybe there's a negative impact. I can see that happening, but I don't think it'll have a significant impact on users going to YouTube as a resource. Maybe from like a reputation standpoint, people will laugh at this.
Right.
In like 3 years, people are gonna look back and say, "Yeah, that was this really stupid idea from YouTube. That doesn't make any sense."
Uh-huh.
Um, that's my thought. But do you think it'll ruin the reputation? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it has potential to. I mean, YouTube right now has, it has the reputation of being a place where people can post their content. Content creators come there to um, post their content, make a living off of it. And adding something to this may, as you say, may come off as a gimmick. And I see it as Google trying to save something under a brand they know is successful to try and leverage that a little bit. But
Yeah.
overall, I don't know that I don't know that the market is going to go for it.
Yeah.
It
Do you
it
think
kind
this
of
will
reminds
harm? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
it kind of reminds me of like how Ford branded their electric SUV under the Mustang brand. Um,
Yeah.
is something that is a great brand, and using that to leverage sales for their SUV. But a lot of people that I've heard from, that are diehard Mustang fans were kind of put off by that, having an SUV in the Mustang family type thing.
Yeah. There's a few things working against it. It's
Hmm.
electric. It doesn't have the muscle that
Right.
people like Mustangs for, and it's a crossover SUV.
Right.
Doesn't really fit. But I understand what you mean. Yeah, they're trying to leverage a successful, reputable name brand to sell something that maybe not be successful without it. They're trying to piggyback, ride the
Hmm.
coattails, right?
Right.
Um, do you think this will harm creators on YouTube? Do you think it'll pull audiences away from creators, or do you think it'll allow for enhancement of creators, where creators can host their own games on their channels or
Hmm.
something of that sort?
I think if the service allows creators to host their own games, that could have success. However, if this fails, I think it could potentially pull people enough away from YouTube that there might not be as much traffic on YouTube as there previously was, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. What do you think on that?
Yeah. Um, I think it might be a small distraction for a short amount of time, and then I think it'll bounce back, and I think creators won't really be that impacted. If YouTube were to complement creators with this gaming platform, I think then there's potential for growth and market demand.
Yeah.
But I don't see that really happening. I don't think that's something that YouTube has in mind for this. I think they're just trying to push video games through the YouTube platform.
Yeah.
And I don't think that'll be successful. So
I think that's a
is
pretty
it
cool
really?
idea, though, having content
Oh,
creators have the potential to create games within their channel on YouTube.
yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Like they're already content creators for videos. And if YouTube is going to be videos and gaming, why not allow people to publish their own games
Yeah. Be
and
content
play them?
creators of games. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe YouTube expands on that and creates like a game creation studio in their app because they have like the video studio, right?
Hmm.
And allows a simple user-friendly experience of creating a game. Um, we're already seeing that with like Fortnite. They have the creative mode where you can create your own games. People are recreating Call of Duty and Fortnite. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, and the even better thing about it is Fortnite is doing profit sharing. So the more people that play your game that you created, people have created like full-blown campaign modes with like big giant robot bosses and their own maps and
Oh, wow.
the the more that the more people that play your game, the more share of the profit that Epic Games makes, you get. They're pumping out a ton of money to these game creators. It's
Wow.
crazy, man. And I think if YouTube were to take that and adopt it with their current creators for videos, then I think maybe there's some opportunity. But that's not what this sounds like. It
Yeah.
sounds like they're taking pre-created games and they're just funneling them through YouTube.
Right. Yeah. Just unfortunate. I mean, like, this could have potential for other things and applications, but looks like they're just trying to resurrect Stadia through YouTube.
Yeah. Give me 1 sec. Let me look at this Fortnite creative profit
Okay.
sharing. I know it's on a tangent, but
No, tangents are great.
it's really cool. So Fortnite vows to share 40% of its profits.
Wow.
Let me do this really quick. I'll expand it. I'll see if I can share with the Zoom. Okay. Who can make money from Fortnite Creative 2.0? Map monetization explained. In Creator Economy 1.0, the support a creator device was only means to earn revenue in a game. In Economy 2.0, payouts will be made based on player engagement. So, based on however many people play your game that you create in this creative mode, you get paid out. And they're returning to its roots as an affiliate marketing program, paying 40%. 40% is in reserve for creators. They'll be shared with creators. And people are making like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy. And some of the stuff that they're doing is really interesting. Like I said, people recreated Call of Duty. They recreated the Rust map. They're creating their own story game modes with campaign modes. It's pretty insane what people are doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's cool. And if YouTube does this, then I think there's potential, but I don't think they will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's really
for anyone
cool.
who's listening, I recommend going and looking at what people have created. It's pretty cool to see. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it makes me just want to hop on there and explore all the different game modes that people have created.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool. I think like community driven content creation is is something like really unique and something very beneficial for a game. It's like it seems like it's benefiting Fortnite a lot. Halo has seen a lot of good content creation, which is um, I would say saved the game or made
Yeah,
it a little bit more viable
Forge
in
is
yes.
awesome.
And so I think if games are games are to do that, it allows, you know, the community to create more content for the game to increase its life cycle.
I agree. I agree 100% with that. And it adds new excitement. It adds, new challenges for the player. It keeps things interesting. They don't
Hmm.
get sick of the game because there's something new. Um, cool story about that. I posted a video of my son playing Nuketown in Forge on Halo. Nuketown's a Call of Duty map, right?
uh,
And the guy who created the app or the map, the Nuketown map, saw the video and commented on it. And he's like, dude, this is cool. I made that map. And
oh, that's
I
awesome.
checked his screen name, and
Uh,
on Halo it tells you the name, like the gamer tag name of who created it, and they matched. It was
oh,
wild.
that's awesome.
It was crazy. Yeah, it's just insane, and I think that's really cool. It helps the community, like you said. It
Hmm.
keeps the life cycle of the game interesting. So
Yeah.
anyway,
And plus, Nuketown on Halo, it doesn't get much better than that.
doesn't get much better than that. Yep. We'll see what YouTube does.
Yes. Well, we'll keep you all informed. Well, the FTC won't let Microsoft be, and it looks like the Microsoft did leak a few of Sony's projects. The PS5 Slim and Project Q were hinted during an Microsoft FTC court battle. So it seems like Microsoft knows the price range of these unannounced projects. The PS5 Slim, which seems to be just like the um, PS5 without a disk drive, and the PS5 handheld Project Q, and gave these during the legal filings during its court battle with the FTC. And these prices have been leaked around $400, and the Project Q has been around $300. And it's interesting that Microsoft was arguing these things, but it seems like they were arguing this, stating that Nintendo should not be excluded because Xbox and PlayStation does offer some cheaper versions that are similar to the Switch, such as the Xbox Series X.
So
And
that sorry, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to clarify, to make sure I understand correctly. So Sony is saying, hey, Microsoft is arguing that they're not going to be taking up market share because Nintendo is in the picture. And Sony was saying, we need to remove Nintendo because they're a whole different gaming market. They have a cheap handheld device that's not the same market as us. And Microsoft, in their defense, is saying, actually, no, we have a cheaper version of our Xbox that competes with the Switch. That's $299, and we know you guys are coming out with a handheld device, so you guys are involved in this as well. So it's kind of all a mixture. So we should include Nintendo in this argument as part of the market, and we're not going to be, if we take over Activision, we're not going to be taking too much of the market because we're sharing this with Nintendo, et cetera, et cetera. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so, do you think, I guess, in what ways do you think this ongoing court case between Microsoft and the FTC might potentially shape the future of gaming
Um,
or even affect the merger between them and Activision?
I think it obviously is making the merger more expensive. Um, and it depends on what the outcome is of this case, because that will set precedents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a negative outcome for Microsoft, it's going to make any acquisition that much more difficult. Companies need to do more due diligence before they start purchasing other game creators. And there'll be some hesitation, I'm sure of it. But if it's a positive, if it's a positive outcome for Microsoft, which I think you and I both align that I think overall that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think there won't be too much of a change. Maybe that'll make the big companies more ambitious and aggressive. Actually, it might make them. It might open the door for them to kind of get the green light to say, "Hey, you acquire this massive company for billions of dollars. There's not really much stopping you from doing any other smaller companies."
Right.
And they might just go on a buying spree. Sony and Microsoft, but we know Microsoft has more cash.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the outcome of the case.
That is a good attorney answer. It depends.
Well, just because it's hard to say
Yeah.
one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
I think you
I
can
get it.
understand.
I say it all the time. So
Yeah. Yeah. So those are my thoughts. I mean, maybe you think differently. You are in the industry of law. So what are your thoughts there? Do you think this precedence really has that much of an impact or not really?
I think it could. I think, potentially depending on the outcome, this could set precedents for these companies to acquire other major players and also smaller players. I mean, you brought up that good point that, they could go on a buying spree. And this could set precedents for that, just to automatically start acquiring other companies that aren't this big of a deal. I do think that companies should not announce an acquisition until the deal closes, because
Yeah.
otherwise you get all this negative PR and all this stuff. But I guess it gives us content because Microsoft was excited about it.
Yeah, and
But
we've been milking this content for like a
yes,
year now.
I
Like,
know.
we're just like almost every podcast there's an
Yeah.
update with Microsoft, Sony, and Activision.
So, but I think it does have the potential to set a lot of precedent. So it'll be interesting to see what the outcome of this is and what goes forward and what next hurdle that Microsoft has to go through in order to make this deal happen. It seems like there's just one thing after another.
Yeah. Do you think Microsoft do you think Microsoft needed to release this information in the case, or do you think, I mean, this is a pretty obvious answer. but I feel like there was some spite in releasing this information.
I think
Like,
there was.
like we can there I'm sure in their minds, like we could use this if we can use this to help leverage our side of the argument, but let's release as much as we know just out of spite so
Yeah.
that Sony's secrets are revealed.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
an there was an interesting letter too that they in their opening statement, Microsoft's opening statement, there was an interesting email exchange that they shared between Sony executives where they knew that this wasn't going to be about exclusivity, and they knew Microsoft wasn't going to make Activision exclusive. Um, it was really interesting to read, but essentially
Interesting.
it was a counter argument to the whole wall that Sony put up of, hey, you're taking too much of the market, you're going to make this games exclusive. But Sony had an internal email among executives saying, we know this isn't about exclusives. This is a bigger play here from Microsoft. So that was another bombshell that I thought
Wow.
was really interesting.
Yeah. I hadn't heard about that. Um, I I did hear another thing that uh, Sony specifically has a portion of like all their, because I know like all Microsoft games that are sold on the PlayStation Store, that Microsoft only gets 70% of the um, percent of the cost for that,
Mm.
or the price. Whereas like if they were to sell it on Microsoft Store itself, they get the full 100%. And so I there was somewhere where I heard that Microsoft uses that money to specifically fund their portion of their business of how they can destroy Microsoft in the console war.
So the 30% that they're taking from from the Microsoft games selling, they use that against Microsoft.
Microsoft, yes, as pure sabotage
Wow.
way of destroying their market share.
Wow. So interesting.
And I'm like,
That's so crazy.
that's kind of smart.
Yeah, it is. That's business, man.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
crazy.
it'll be interesting to see what comes out about this. So we'll keep you
Yeah,
all informed.
yeah, definitely.
Well, even in spite of all the inflation reduction things, looks like inflation is hitting everyone, and NASA has identified some potential major cost costs that have come through the Mars sample return. So NASA has confirmed that one scenario of the cost of its Mars sample return program is higher than previous estimates and has heightened concern among the scientists about the impacts of their mission. They had a lot of estimates to range from the full cost of it is ranging from 8 to 9 billion, and their previous estimates were 3.8 billion to 4.4, which is a significant increase over their initial costs. And that NASA is evaluating a wide range of funding scenarios to and their annual budget process. And it looks like this sample return is one of their variables that they're considering whether the cost is going to outweigh the benefit for this. And I guess I wanted to ask you, what do you think? Do you think that NASA should prioritize their space exploration initiatives with with their budgets, or do you think that science should outweigh that and they should just go through it regardless of the budget? If that question makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Uh, Honestly, I think NASA has already a massive budget, but I'm also speaking about this ignorantly. Personally, I don't really know why we spend so much money in NASA, especially now. that we have multiple companies that are private who do it more efficiently.
Hmm.
And I just don't understand, what is NASA doing right now? I mean, I think to an extent I can understand making sure we have the proper weather patterns understood, we have Earth's rotation and the safety of Earth's climate and all of those things with satellites. But when it comes to space exploration, like the Mars and Mars rover, and I have a hard time believing that it's worth the value that we're spending to send a bot to Mars and see what's on this rock.
Right.
I personally do not think NASA should just excuse away any budget for the sake of science. I think that's irresponsible and ignorant in itself. Um, I think that they should be smart with their money and how they do things. Or if they don't know how to do that, look to private companies who are doing it,
Hmm.
right? SpaceX, what's Bezos's Blue
Oh yeah, what
Horizon?
a something like that.
Amazon Space. I can't remember what it's called. Blue Origin. It's
Blue
Blue
Origin.
Origin.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Space Travel, Virgin Galactic, I think is what it's called. Like, so we have these private
Yeah, we've got
companies.
private companies that are doing this.
Yeah.
And
And so maybe they're not sending bots to space, but like if the government were to contract with them, they could do it and partner with NASA and probably do it for a cheaper price.
yeah,
So this issue of like, oh man, inflation is causing us to go over budget. In my mind, I'm like, well, that shouldn't be like, you shouldn't just ignore the budget and just go for it and waste taxpayer money.
right.
There's other and more important things than seeing what's underneath every nook and cranny on Mars. But
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think like especially where this is a government funded type of program, that there needs to be more accountability for their budgets.
there's
And
huge black holes in NASA, in aerospace, in military. It's crazy.
mhm.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was a great pun as well. You know, space travel, black holes.
That was unintended. Okay. Unintended. I'm
Happy
just that
accident.
good. I'm that good.
So yeah, and so they need to be more accountable. And I don't think that they should ignore, these the full cost of it compared to their estimated costs. One, seems that they need to do better estimations. And I understand, with the pandemic that wasn't foreseen and that creates unintended costs, but you know,
Sure.
there there should be factors in place to, account for that anyway. And so there needs to be some accountability. And I agree that, if NASA can't do this, that, I think that's a great idea to have contract with these private companies to make these happen if they need to, or scrap the mission entirely, um, and cut your losses before it gets too worse.
Yeah. Or put it on hold. I
Yeah,
mean, talking
there's
billions of dollars, right?
there's other alternatives rather than just spending billions of dollars just for the sake of spending it.
I agree. Yeah.
One cool thing that happened within the movie industry is that Pixar used AI in its newest movie, Elemental. Now, I haven't personally seen this yet, but I think this is a cool thing that they did. They used AI to um, do portions of their movie. You want to break this down for us?
Yeah. So in the past, when Pixar would animate fire, they had certain flame effects that they would use. But when they tried to use those flame effects when building an actual character that's made out of fire. Essentially, they got like this cross between like Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider and they say Studio Ghibli's Calcifer. It's just
Hmm.
like essentially like a big flame that maybe has a little shape and form to it. And so it was very difficult for them to create a character that's the fire element character. Um, and so it's because their effects are designed to mimic reality. And if you know fire, it doesn't really take a shape, really, right? It just kind of
Right.
goes everywhere. And so what they did was they leveraged AI to help that like mold it into uh a character. And number one, it saved them a significant amount of time. They would have had to go frame by frame to shape the fire
Oh, wow.
of the character. They'd have to do every single shot of Elemental would need an effects pass, which is like incredibly time consuming. You can imagine, right?
Hmm.
Um, but because they used AI, they were able to leverage it and essentially um, avoid having to go frame by frame. And it says here um, that they came across a paper out of SIGGRAPH Asia about using a neural style transfer, the type of artificial intelligence used to make a photo look like a Van Gogh or Picasso. And so they leverage this AI, this NST, neural style transfer. And anyway, it's pretty cool that they're starting to use this in movies and film and creative aspects. And I personally think this is the right way to use AI, right? To leverage
Yeah.
it to make your job as a creator more efficient, to guide it and direct it and allow it to cut corners for you so you don't have to be so burdensome and essentially innovate so you can make really cool stuff. But you let AI do the heavy lifting. Um, the question for you is with these advancements, what possibilities and challenges arise in balancing this creativity with AI and filmmaking? Because there's so many people that are worried that AI is going to take over the arts. So where's this balance come? Where do you think? What's your
Ooh,
thought? What are
that's a
your
great
thoughts?
question. I don't think this is going to take over the arts. However, I do think this is going to be a tool that's going to differentiate people that use it versus people that don't use it within their content creation or
That's valid.
their artistic medium. I mean, I think this is great technology and great for Pixar to use this. One, it saves a lot of time and money for their expense in the whole production of the video, which can be a very costly endeavor. And especially even if a movie does not do well, um, being able to save money somewhere in that production cost is great. And so this can allow companies and organizations to really get through all of that at a really quick rate and get through these videos.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't think it's going to take over the arts, but I think that it will. Um, I think it will be differentiate people that use it versus people that don't. What are your thoughts?
I think you're spot on there. I think to an extent it can take over the arts. I think there's potential, but I think if we control it and regulate it, then we'll allow it. We'll be able to stay ahead of it and um, leverage it to just innovate even more and be more creative. I agree 100%. Those who don't use AI going forward are going to be left behind. And the crazy and somewhat scary thing is that it's moving so fast, so you have to keep up. You got to keep up. There's so many
Right.
tools now that leverage large language modeling or data scientific modeling that allow for predictive behavior and predictive outcomes. it's hard to keep up. And if you don't continue to educate yourself and try to keep up, you're going to be left behind. And that will differentiate yourself, like you said. Um, that can be scary. So,
Yes.
but it is cool seeing that, AI's officially made it to the big screen,
Yeah.
and we'll probably be seeing more of it.
Yeah, it'll be
So,
exciting to see what new movies come out that have used AI and utilized that technology.
yep.
Something else that is interesting, it looks like Twitch is losing some of its content creators and streamers, and they are moving over to a new platform.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we have going on here?
Yeah. So, the rival Kick, it's been poaching big streamers, um, and taking them away from Twitch. So Twitch has kind of had this back and forth and these changes to their monetization, their creator payout. And they've created some limitations that's really pissed a lot of people off. Ninja, famous streamer, he doesn't make a lot of money from Twitch, he said recently, and Kick was going to pay him a lot of money, and so he's kind of like, it's a no brainer to switch over to Kick. But it's a new streaming service. In the past, um, Kick had a bad reputation because a lot of people who gamble would broadcast it on Kick because they're not allowed to broadcast gambling on Twitch.
Interesting.
And so Kick has had a bad name, but Kick is starting to pay out a lot of people, and they're bringing over big streamers. So Amaranth is a big streamer. I don't really like know a lot of these streamers. XQC, apparently another big streamer. Um, but I know that I know Ninja, and I know that he's heavily thought about it, and he's not over yet. He's definitely thought about it. I've seen videos of him talk about it. But they're paying these people a ton of money, and they're essentially pulling more and more streamers over as we talk. And Twitch is kind of scrambling because they're trying to they're trying to maintain their regulations, but at the same time keep their big streamers. But the regulations are hurting the creator monetization. Um, so to summarize it, let's see here. Go to my notes real quick. Um, yeah, essentially, like there's this competition that Kick could be essentially really hurting Twitch and making them go downhill. My question for you is, do you think that uh Twitch is a company that's like too big to fall kind of a deal? Or do you think this could potentially be a serious threat? Because in the past we had Mixer and we have YouTube streaming, and Mixer's no longer, but YouTube streaming is. Do you think this Kick is potentially the downfall of Twitch, or do you think it's not that big of a deal?
I I think it could be. I don't think any company in the world is too big to fall. Not even the mighty Apple. Um, even though it may take, Twitch a little bit longer to fall, but if they don't, my opinion is I think if they don't do something to mitigate this or entice people to stay or come back or get new streamers to come on, I think they could potentially fall the way of Mixer as well, or fall the way of other defunct things that aren't a part of mainstream anymore. Because I mean, here in the article it said that at the moment Kick is allowing their content creators to keep 95% of their revenue compared to Twitch's 50%,
Yeah,
which is huge.
massive.
And so it's no wonder that people are wanting to move over to Kick rather than Twitch, where Twitch is um, not really giving their content creators their fair share of what they're doing. Um, I think that's like been one of YouTube's benefit. They have really um, kind of gone above and beyond for their content creators, I would say, and allowing them to share a portion of their revenue. Whereas YouTube,
Yeah,
where YouTube understands that, without the talent, the service wouldn't really be there. So I think YouTube has consistently done a better job than the industry in compensating their content creators.
I agree.
So,
And I feel like YouTube's always been like that.
mhm,
They've always recognized that, that their content creators are the main reason why people go on that platform.
right. And so I think until Twitch realizes that, they they could be um, they could become obsolete.
And the thing is, like, Twitch doesn't play nice with others, right? They're like, you either stream on Twitch only or you don't stream on Twitch at all.
Right.
And I think they got this idea and this ego because when Mixer went down, they're like, well, it's just us and YouTube essentially. And not a lot of people do YouTube streaming. So I think they got this ego because they were kind of the only player in the game. And so they could crack down and they don't allow for like multi broadcast streaming. They just like you can't broadcast your stream on Twitch and on Facebook and on YouTube. It has to be Twitch only.
Right.
And they aren't paying that much. So it's just their restrictions and their regulations are hurting them now that there's
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah. I agree. So Twitch needs to wake up a little bit and hopefully they they can recover. But if not, it looks like Kick is going to be the end of Twitch here.
Oh man, I was really hoping you'd do kicking their butts.
I should have. It'll be a good kick in the cherries.
Kicking the cherries. That's
Oh, I
right.
mean a kick of cherries.
There you go. Kick of cherries. That's right.
Yeah. Don't remember if you remember that old Mountain Dew commercial when
I
they
don't.
first announced Code Red. Um, guy would always ask, "Hey, do you want to kick in the cherries?" I was like, and
No, I
then
do
no,
not remember
yeah, he's like, "Oh, I mean a kick of cherries." There you go.
that. That was Mountain Dew's Code Red.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah,
I
that
don't
was
remember that
that
commercial at
was
all.
one of their commercials in the 90s.
I love commercials like that. They just
Yeah.
go off of puns. So funny.
Kind of like the ship your pants for free. Good
Yeah,
old
Kmart,
Kmart.
genius. Or 7 Up. Make
Make
seven.
7 up
Up
yours.
yours.
Yes.
Yeah. It's too good, man.
Those were the best. See, the 90s were good for commercials. We need to bring those back.
Genius. Yep. All
All
right.
right. Last that we've got for tonight is it looks like Electrify America is going to be moving to the new North American standard as it is. And that means that they're going to be adding the Tesla connector to their EV chargers. And I think this is a huge deal. What do we have going on here, Ben?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. Electrify America, it's a VW company. Um, they are, I don't think it's official that they have decided on this, but there's been essentially a lot of talks. They're discussing the opportunities of Tesla to maximize Tesla's charging. They want to partner with them. They're gonna be closing a deal on partnering with them for their vehicles going forward. Um, and we've talked about this already. Ethan, we've talked about it with Ford and GM and Rivian.
Rivian now.
So
Yeah.
they're all moving towards Tesla's charging, which makes sense. Makes complete sense. I
Hmm.
don't know why this wasn't a thing before, but yeah. So it's just another big company with a lot of influence in the industry coming out and saying, "Hey, we kind of recognize who the powerhouse is here. They already have really good infrastructure. They have a good system. We're going to jump on the bandwagon." So it's pretty cool to see. And it's in my opinion really good for the consumers because no matter what EV you get, I think ideally you're going to be any EV is going to be able to charge on a Tesla charging
Yeah,
station.
at any charging station now, because it'll be nice that there'll be some uniformity here.
Yeah,
Uh,
some standardization like a
yeah,
gas pump.
yeah. I mean, when Ford and GM and Rivian kind of announced that they were going to be moving to this new Tesla North American charging standard, I was in the back of my mind, I was thinking, Electrify America is probably going to go out of business because of their standard. I mean, um, there's so many Tesla superchargers, and if everybody's going to be going to those, Electrify America, nobody needs to go to those. But now that they're doing this, it seems like they're reacting very well to the market shift and realizing that they need to get on board in order to continue to be a viable company.
Yeah. Yeah, very smart of them to do that. I also noticed they're going to continue the CCS one, um, which is smart if anyone
Yeah,
wants to use that or
I think
has
that's
that.
smart because I mean, like, not, I mean, people that get EVs now, they probably have that CCS standard. And so it'll be good for them to have that option to charge because I, I'm not sure if a retrofit would even be possible or um, even cost effective to do for vehicles that are being made now versus getting retrofitted for that new connector in the future. So,
Yeah. hmm Yeah, I agree.
so yeah,
So
really, really
great
cool
news.
for Electrify America here. I think it's a great move.
I agree. Quick question for you.
Yeah.
What is your hot take of the week? Random
Ooh,
hot take.
random hot take for the week. Um, Something that we didn't talk about that might be cool. Um, NVIDIA continues to ignore their market for gamers and their GPU and offering high prices on their 40 series GPUs while not providing the performance gains to match up to those prices.
So hot take of the week. Nvidia's new 40 series is not worth the price.
Right. And it's going to be up to gamers whether gamers will teach NVIDIA a lesson or if we continue to buy their cards and make them produce even more higher and egregious prices for their GPUs.
Do you think the consumers for Nvidia is like the consumers for Apple, where they'll just pay whatever to get the latest?
I think there are some, yes, especially people to get like the 4080s or 4090s. Um,
Yeah.
Usually those are the people that um, just need to have the latest and greatest. Um, but they have so much power, you might not necessarily need all of that power
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Interesting. I haven't kept up with that. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah. What is your hot take for the week?
My hot take for the week. My hot take for the week. Uh, man. Um, Minivans are the ultimate utility vehicle.
Ooh,
I'm saying that.
that's a great point and also an often contentious point,
Exactly. It's the hot
especially
take, man.
especially here in Utah. I
It's very true.
because I mean, from my experience growing up, you have the people that either really love the minivan or are so against it that they are often prejudiced to the point that they won't experience it just because of that prejudicial bias.
That was us. 100% us. And now
You're
we're
you're in it.
minivan gang. We are minivan gang, man. We are minivan gang. And I don't, as long as we have young kids, we'll probably be minivan gang. So probably for like the next 12 to 13 years.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, I know. I never thought I'd say that. Never thought I'd say that, but
Yeah, because
I'm convinced.
I mean, I understand the utility. However, I am so biased and naive that I can't get myself to go down that route.
That
However,
is fair.
I know that if I did it, that my quality of life would be would increase exponentially
Oh yeah.
because of those
So nice.
doors, man.
Dude. And the fold down seats to make one flat floor, it's
Yeah,
phenomenal. Like my kids are baseball games done. Kids are running to the car. I take out my remote, pop the left side, pop the right side, pop the trunk. We get there, wings are open, trunk is open, throw crap in the back, kids slide into the sides, and they get into the back, close the doors. Dude, it's primo. If I need to load wood in, like I have a bed of a truck, but it's like short. It's like 5, maybe 6 feet.
right. Minivan, you've got ample space.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Like you could
But
fit houses in there.
yeah, pretty much. But I kind of look like a loser driving it, so there's the trade off. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my hot take for the week.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
We should have like a mini series
We should.
where we just bring on friends, just like another series, which is like hot takes. We come up with a clever name or something.
Yeah, I like that. Hmm.
Make it interesting.
Yeah, maybe next week we can come up with something good.
All right. Stay tuned, people.
Yeah, stay tuned. Looks like Alexa went off on me, so might have all gotten that too.
I heard the muffledness in the
Yes.
background.
All right. Well, we thank everyone for your continued support in our channel and in our videos here. So if you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm and helps get our content out there. If you disliked it, well, that other button seems to do all right as well. Send it to somebody you dislike. That button doesn't work anyway. As always, ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling button so you never miss out on any content that is posted on the channel. So until next time, stay classy and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.